Star Trek 57, M23, take 2.
It's the It's Got Star Trek podcast.
How about we just enjoy the walk, smell the air?
We don't have time to smell the air, okay? Others are coming and they're way less friendly.
If they got their hands on what you're hiding, it would be a disaster.
What was that?
An Jinaal. Carnivorous quadruped about 3 times your height, extremely vicious. I studied them while I was still alive. These canyons are their hunting grounds.
Yeah, that seems like something you could have mentioned before.
Would that have changed your mind? Anyone sane knows to stay away from this place, which made it perfect for hiding the clue. These answers you want, if I give them to you, they might cost you your life. Sure it's worth it?
We've already risked our lives to come this far. We're sure.
All right.
Evidence!
You just want to start the podcast? You ready to start the podcast, Dan?
You can start it. Feel free.
Hey, Jesse, are you ready to start the podcast?
I think I'm ready now. Now I'm ready.
Yeah. We recently discovered funk music. Funk. P-H-O-N-K.
Wow.
Funk music.
Wow.
All right.
I still don't get it.
Funk music. Welcome, hello, and welcome to the It's Got Star Trek podcast. We're just going to fade that out there just a little bit. Okay, no, let's just fade
Just a little bit.
Just fade it back just for a
my
second.
God.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Lord.
Sure it's worth it?
Okay, here we go. No, it's going back down, Dan. Don't worry, Dan. We're getting there. We're getting there.
What you did went along with.
Have you lost your mind?
I have not lost my mind. I have merely discovered an entirely new musical genre to me, new to me.
Yeah, funk
You know?
music.
Funk music. I'm sure others out there may be familiar with it already. What did you say, Dan? It was a derivative of Nashville.
According to Wikipedia, it says it's a subgenre of hip hop and trap music inspired by 1990s Memphis rap.
Memphis. And you said it was Memphis, Tennessee, and not Memphis, ancient Egypt.
I'm making an assumption.
All right. I think it's a fair assumption. Okay. Welcome all and sundry to the It's Got Star Trek podcast.
Last time I did this, they gave me chips.
Yes, that was very funny. Jet Reno is very funny. Good job, Dan.
Jet Reno, she's back.
Yes.
Hooray.
Yes, we're all very excited, Dan.
He's the best.
We'll just have to get through this beginning part of the podcast.
You look great, kid.
And then we can talk more about Jet Reno. Okay. We have to go. We have our contract says these bullet point things that we have to get through. So I already welcomed people to the It's Got Star Trek podcast.
All right.
I must note, again, for contractual reasons, that it is the 236th episode of the It's Got Star Trek podcast. Can you
There's no way.
There is, yeah, 36.
Yeah,
236. That's how many podcasts we've done. We've actually done more because there's bonus content on the main feed, and there's additional bonus content on our Patreon feed at patreon.com/It's Got Star Trek. But 236, that's the name, that's the number for the main thing.
Yeah, 230. You took a long time to say we have 236 episodes.
Is that how many we have?
That's what you said, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't remember stuff past 10 seconds. So.
Is that what you said? It took you 60 seconds to say it.
I'll buy whatever you're telling me. I'll buy it. Because in the grand scheme of things, how much does it really matter? None of this stuff really matters, right?
Snap.
Okay, so
Sure.
episode 236, according to Dan.
That's what you just. I think that's what you said. I don't actually know. Jesse, is that right?
Hey, I'm buying it.
Yeah,
I'm in.
I think Patrick's messing around.
Whatever this is, whatever you want to call this, I'm into it.
Better pick up the pace.
I'm just saying. I'm down to clown. Oh no!
What?
The funk music has returned. Okay.
Phone invasion.
This week we will be discussing Star Trek Discovery's 5th season episode, the third episode of the 5th season. Yes. Hello, and welcome to the Star Trek podcast.
What was that?
We will be
Have you lost your mind?
No. I'm just saying that what we're going to do is we're going to discuss
Oh my God.
the third episode of the 5th and final season of Star Trek Discovery.
Wow.
And that episode has been entitled Jinaal. Because
Jinaal.
yes, there's a character in one of the many plot lines. There's like
name of that guy?
there's like 4 stories. They're telling 4. There's an A, B, C, and D storyline in this episode.
Jinaal Bix.
Only Jinaal can.
It's good to meet you, Jinaal. Jinaal.
Yeah.
Jinaal Bix.
The titular Jinaal Bix.
Jinaal Bix.
I like that name for the symbiote, the Bix.
It's Bix. It's not Dax. It's Bix.
Yes, instead of Dax.
And when they're
it's Bix.
speaking trillion, you
think
can
they got a check?
That's a lot.
when they're speaking trillion, you can hear them say Bix. You can hear him say that. Check it out.
Okay.
Karjan Rangela Xmix Najan Rexla X Kalzara Jinaal Rem Yotanu X Bix Poshatu Dexta Motutor Na Garu Esh Haksajala Gokotor.
They said Bix like 2 or 3 times.
I got sort of bored.
You think they got like a chick's
And they said Ix. They said Ix as well.
Is X? You mean X instead of Bix?
They said, I heard him say Ix and Bix. But
mix.
Patrick, what you're saying? You got bored? Would you zone out?
Hey there, everybody! Welcome to the X and Bix show. I'm X. And he's Bix. Oh, you're playing.
No, keep playing the music up.
You see if it matches.
Karjan Rangela Xmix Najan Rexla X Kalzara
What'd you know?
Jinaal Rem Yotanu X Bix Poshatu Dexta Motutor Na Garu Esh Haksajala.
Well spotted, Dan. What do you call something when you spot it with your ears? What do you call it? You've spotted that with your ears. You observed it with your ears.
Sounding.
You sound no. Hey, everybody at home.
I'm sorry.
Whatever you do, don't go on Google and look up sounding.
Oh no.
It may sound innocent, and indeed, no shame.
I wanna go-
but be careful if you're looking up sounding.
I want to go back to when you were bored by the trillion clip earlier. Were you trying to tell me something?
No. I wasn't telling you something. I was
Telling
just
you
like,
something.
There's a lot of.
It was like a long clip of gibberish.
Yeah, it was.
I'm not insulting it. It's just it's the classic alien. We'll get there eventually, I know. But the whole alien is doing some ritual stuff.
Yeah.
It went on for a little while.
Yeah, it did go on for a while.
All right.
You said a joke earlier. Speaking of jokes and speaking of trills, what do trill symbionts do all day long?
I don't know, Dan. I'm really
Jesse?
scared. I don't know.
I'm thinking. I don't know if I'm gonna.
What
get
do
it,
what do trill symbionts? What do trill symbionts do all day long? I don't know, slither around in somebody's belly like a monster because they're a monster.
No, it's not like that.
Okay, what
Slug
do they do?
monster.
Just monk about.
Wait, what?
Manga about.
Okay, I have to admit I don't get it.
They're just like they were monking. Didn't you see a monking that whole episode?
Manga.
Okay, is this a verb that I ought to know?
It's like sounds like muck about. It's a pun.
Is this what that song "You Ought to Know"
It's
is
like-
about?
it's like-
the Alanis
Are they
Morissette song.
monks?
Is it you ought to know that the term monk is a verb? Is it
muck?
colloquial?
I just said muck. It's,
muck. I thought you said monk.
I
about.
did say monk about, but
Yeah,
it's
you
a
see,
pun.
that's-
How is it? It's because they're monks.
Yeah, because they're monks and they're
but
just
those
monking
aren't-
about.
Yeah, but the symbionts aren't monking about. Those are the. I don't know what
well,
they call
Gray's a
them.
Those other
symbiont.
No,
dweebs
Gray.
are
No.
monga about.
No, Gray's not a symbiont. Gray.
I can't keep track of this whole symbiont shit because some they sometimes refer to the slug and
It's the
sometimes
slug.
But then
the
they
host is the host. The symbiote or the symbiont.
Symbiont.
They've used
The
both
host
terms.
is the host.
The hostess with the mostest. Okay, I get the joke now. I have some quibbles with it structurally and semantically, but I get it now. It's a good joke. They monk about.
Yeah, they
okay.
monk about.
Even though it doesn't apply to it doesn't actually work. We get where you were going.
Okay.
All
Well, at one point, I was confused because I think it was Gray or someone said Jinaal wasn't your average Trill. He was a symbiont host. I don't know what they meant by that.
Most Trill don't host a symbiont.
Yeah, right.
Right. So
Only some special
they're
ones.
they're re-stressing here the already understood lore that
That was Adira who said that.
It is unusual to get to be. That's the whole thing, right? And the whole gimmick.
So wait, Trills don't actually.
Most Trill do not have
So where
a
do the
worm
slugs?
in their belly.
Where do
They're
the
just
slugs
hanging
come
out.
from?
The slugs come from those little glowing caves.
With the blue glowy caves.
The blue glowy clay.
With the
Blue,
funny,
blue,
the
blue,
funny
blue.
little lip pools. And
The
stuff.
funny little blue glowing caves.
blue glowing.
The blue
glowing.
blue.
caves.
It's horrible.
Yes, it is.
Horrible.
So that's where they come from, and some of
and the
It
Trills
smell-
and
it
the
stinks
but
in
the
there.
Trills don't actually. So the slugs aren't Trill.
no together.
Together they make them together they make Trill.
They're like a combined thing, but it goes back a long way. But in Deep Space Nine, the lore that
So
you
wait,
learn,
like for example, Jadzia Dax, both of them together make a Trill.
yeah. Well, Jadzia is a Trill, and then she's a Trill with a worm in her belly.
So how is
she's got a worm?
but
in her
Adira
belly.
said Jinaal wasn't your average Trill. I think he was a symbiont host.
Yes, they are reminding us that most Trill did not get to have the worm in the belly.
So Jadzia and Ezri were both lucky in that, or not lucky. They were skilled and talented, but
Well,
it was unusual what
we
they
find
were.
out-
Most Trill don't get the slugs.
yeah, and what we find out on Deep Space Nine at one point.
I guess it was confusing because they pointed it out so explicitly, and I was just like,
Yeah.
it made me think it's
No,
like
I
there was
understand.
something I didn't know.
I
There was something.
understand.
It was like, why are you stressing that part?
No significant spoilers on Deep Space Nine, but there is a storyline in Deep Space Nine where the
Storyline in Deep Space
the
Nine.
Trill believe that only some people are capable of hosting a symbiont, and that they have to be selected through a very careful process. And then you find out that that's not actually true, that actually most Trill are capable of doing it, but there's only a few worms to go around.
Only a few worms to go around.
So they created a sort of cultural expectation of excellence in order to get a worm. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Yes. So why don't we figure? Let's
Early bird.
let's
catches the
reset
worm.
ourselves because we got to talk about this in the proper order. So
There are plenty who would disagree with that.
welcome to the It's Got Star Trek podcast.
what the fuck?
What?
This week
All right.
we're gonna talk about worms and bellies and those crazy
You know
Trill. No.
Horrible.
This is not one of those YouTube videos. This is a regular regular old It's Got Star Trek podcast.
That's our usual shit.
Okay. So So I know we
It'll
already
be fine.
I know we already started discussing this episode. But I did think
You just like to fade out.
It
That's
did
that's what you like.
I
to do.
did think you know what else
What
I
are we
like?
even fucking talking about right now?
Do you know what
Nobody knows.
Hey Dan, do you know what else I like to do? I like to fade back in. What do you think of that?
About that. Yeah.
Do you have any clever sound clips to play about that, Dan? What
It'll be
happens
fine.
What happens if I just keep fading up? What are you gonna do
It'll be
about
fine. It'll be fine.
it? Yeah.
It'll be fine.
236
Right.
episodes in the bank.
It'll be fine. All right.
All right. Evidence.
It'll be fine.
Where will I stay?
All right. It'll be fine.
Fading out,
you
almost
are.
as fun as fading back in, fading out, and we
Do
will
we have,
continue the regularly scheduled programming.
Do we have any like opening stuff we're supposed to be doing? Was that it?
No, I mean,
It's
no.
the
Technically,
It's
we
Got
do.
Star
We don't. We don't have much, but let's go ahead and do that. So, episode 236.
Oh my goodness.
According to Dan,
Better pick up the pace.
worth noting that this just today we found out that Stranger.
According to me, wait, I got that from you.
I learned it from you. Dan.
I learned it from watching you.
I learned it from watching
Patrick knows
you.
exactly how many episodes we have. He's just fucking around.
So, Stranger Things is
How
renewed.
many Rockachinos have you had?
First of all, why did she say Roctachino instead of Roctagina?
That's a good point.
How many Rockachinos have
Yeah.
you had?
And maybe
She
it's
did.
a blend. It's kind of like a Roctagino mixed with a cappuccino. It's a roctagino with some foamy
It's got
cream,
milk in it, yeah.
some whole milk cream.
Some tart
Come on,
milk.
Space Dad.
All right, Stranger Things. Why am I saying Stranger Things? Jesus Christ!
I know, that was...
Strange
What?
New Worlds. Strange New Worlds.
What year is it?
Strange New Worlds, the television program that we all enjoy, is renewed for season 4. Yay!
Yeah.
Lower Decks, the television program we enjoy even more, is
man.
ending after season 5. We
No.
just learned that earlier
No,
today.
no.
You could call
Trouble in Paradise, genius.
There's no way.
you could call it being
horrible.
canceled.
It's horrible.
I'm not
Um,
sure what else to do.
They're just
Trouble
saying
in Paradise,
it's
genius.
concluding. That makes me sad.
There's
Stop
no way.
watching TV.
So we've just got one more season of that left. But
No.
on the other hand, they have recently wrapped filming on the Section 31 movie.
Recently wrapped.
And, I don't know. I don't know how excited I am about that, but Michelle Yeoh is awesome, and there could be some good things there. So it's something to...
You never know.
It's worth getting excited
It'll
about.
be fine.
And then the Starfleet Academy show starts filming soon. So we've got plenty of Star Trek coming up in the near future. But we can still be sad. It'll be sad that Discovery's ending and Lower Decks is ending, and yeah.
I say I'm pretty sad about the Lower Decks. ending.
I'm sad because it's an animated show. It could go on longer. On the other hand, they've already been promoted, and maybe they can continue their stories in other formats or in movie or I think I don't think we'll
We haven't heard the last of Lower Decks, have we?
I mean, I was gonna specify more of the individual characters. It could be that in the context, it just doesn't make sense anymore. But whatever, it's still, it's still.
It is. I don't know.
What?
I will tell you, Dan. That brings me back. That makes me think of the old days. When you said funny stuff.
A real shiphead.
All the time. Oh, yeah, the shiphead joke. Where were we? No, it's springtime. We really shouldn't be playing summer music in the springtime.
Shiphead.
But yeah, that's basically it. That's basically the front matter. We already mentioned
The front matter?
Patreon.
Is that like the front butt?
There's no letters or anything.
Letters?
We don't have any.
Oh no, there's no emails. No emails this week. No letters. We
Sure it's worth it?
We get letters.
Messages.
Letters in the mail all the time.
I know, right?
But,
Packages.
yeah.
People send us.
With sugar. A lot of sugar.
Items.
There's a lot of sugar. Just open packets of white powdery sugar that we get.
You're not supposed
and
to.
just like a post-it note that says like, "You guys are sweet."
You guys are sweet.
Yeah.
Jesse picked up on it. I was making a joke about
Cocaine.
anthrax.
Oh, anthrax.
Which is kind of like a 15, 20-year-old joke at this point. 20-year joke.
But I think people are still sending powder around. You
Yeah,
still
I
hear
shouldn't.
about
So
people.
it hasn't been long enough to joke about yet.
I think you can joke about it, but it's overlapped.
Sure.
Like something can still be going on, and you can still start to joke about it after a while.
Yeah, right.
Like if the Titanic was still sinking, I think you'd still joke about it.
If it was still currently sinking,
If it was still sinking after a little while, you can be like, okay, it's a tragedy and all, but yeah, it's kind of funny too. Yeah. So Discovery season 5, episode 3, Jinaal.
Jinaal.
Okay, so
Okay,
we'll get
Jinaal.
into the meat of this. We will stop all the silliness.
Jinaal.
There'll be no more ridiculousness.
None.
We have a number of different storylines. As I mentioned before, we have an A story, we have a B story, a C, and a D story.
Yeah, how about that?
Now, I don't know which order you put them in, but presumably you put the Jinaal story, let's say that's the A story.
Hey.
Jinaal.
And then you have Adira and Gray breaking up. That's another story.
Maybe that's a B.
You have
Come on, Space Dad.
Saru and President Trina
That's like a D.
and their engagement. And then
The handsome and erudite Captain Saru.
yeah. And then you have Commander Rayner meeting new friends.
That's the C.
Meeting new
story.
friends, and they
All
did
right,
it.
so that-
and they
I-
had an
I
odd,
agree with
and he had
Jesse.
an odd couple thing going on with Tilly. That was it's like the two
Yeah.
opposite people going on.
Is it an odd couple thing?
Well, I mean, not in that they're like living together,
Okay.
but they're working together in the same situation,
Okay.
and they both have opposing approaches.
All right.
Like they're the exact opposite
get it.
people.
Oh, yeah, I get
so
you.
so it's sort of, kind of, sort of.
In my
I don't
mind,
know.
the odd couple kind of needs the living thing, but
well, they're kind of living together in the fact that they're working
and a
together.
messy person and
and like
not
that,
so messy
that
person.
music.
Well, I mean, but it's the point. Okay, replace messy and non-messy with talkative and like cold, and replace living together with working together on the same project.
Just replace all the components.
No, it's the same concept though.
Switch out all the components.
No, it's the same concept.
This is
Don't
one
you-
of those ship of Theseus issues.
No, I'm sure you've heard of like analogous situations that it's just you apply concepts to different sort of concrete situations. You know,
concepts.
it's like there's the concept, and then there's the implementation. So you apply the concept to different implementations.
That sounds like a ship of feces.
But I can walk
Wait,
and chew gum.
Did you say a ship of feces?
Yeah, I think you did.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that because
That looks radioactive.
All right, so which story would you like to talk about first? You want to talk about the Jinaal story, the main storyline, and go from there?
Yeah, man.
I think that's a good way to break this down.
Story A.
It's nice because last week we had to squeeze those 2 episodes into one. We can. I know we started out a little crazy here, but we can. we can.
Let's
We still
relax
got
a little
time.
bit.
Let's start actually with the opening shot. I always like looking at the future fleet, like going through. There was some kind of teardrop looking like ship
Yeah,
things that are all weird, and there were different
clever designs.
and there were like big different sized donut ships. Like there were these donut ships.
Right.
Lots
And-
of donut ships.
And then the space station just looks like this weird flowery thing, as we know. There was one of the ships was called the U.S. Lockerer, and that apparently was a camera operator who died in 2022.
Oh, that's
So
sad.
that was on the zooming shot. The CGI for that scene, it was had that little bit of a glossiness to it, that sometimes CGI space it gets where it's like you wish it wasn't so glossy, but it's like the future in the year 30, it's the 32nd
Yeah.
century, so you can kind of be like,
It's pretty shiny.
it's like the
though.
future is fucking shiny, so it's fine. But like I did enjoy that opening shot, and it was another
Shiny
one,
times.
and it was another one of those zoom in shots, the kind that I like, where it starts far away, and it gets, and I like the approach they did this time, where it went like above and sort of sunk in through the ceiling.
That was a new shot.
And a new
Yeah.
style of shot, and it
not-
showed them, and it
not
showed
into
them
the
walking.
bridge, just into regular old corridor.
Yeah, and it just showed that like how a corridor looks in context with
Now,
the
do you
rest of
prefer the
space.
term corridor or hallway, or is there
I like
or is there
corridor.
another alternative term for this?
Well, a
sort
hallway
of-
would be in like a house or a building. A corridor is more in like a ship or something.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm curious because I don't know. I'm
an
asking
office building.
in an
That's how I think of
open-hearted
it.
and sincere.
That's
fashion.
how I think of it. I don't know the specific like
Corridor.
like
What do
the
you think,
different
Jesse? What do you
usage.
think about the difference between corridors and hallways, or are they interchangeable?
I think
What like a
in-
Davenport and a couch?
I think like
or a sofa.
like a hall.
Or a chaise lounge.
You can say it corridor in most situations, but you usually say
We had to live in
corridor on
corridor.
a ship.
No, you're right.
On a ship, you'd say corridor.
Yeah.
What about like?
Yeah.
Would you say? What about in a hotel?
No, you say a
Perhaps.
fucking hotel, a hallway in a hotel.
You say a hallway in a hotel.
Yes.
So Dan votes for hallway. What do you think, Jesse?
I think like back in the day, you might say corridor about a hallway
What about corridor?
No.
or in an office
corduroy.
building,
Corridor.
a
No.
hospital,
Hospital.
hospital.
Dan disagrees, and he's using the power of sound.
Yeah, well, fuck that.
No, you're right.
He's got this tremendous advantage. He's got this tremendous advantage over us.
Last time I
No,
did this,
man.
they gave me chips.
So I agree with you,
Chips.
Dan. I think cool start.
And salsa.
I also agree. I generally really like the production design on Discovery, but it's not always 100% perfect, and sometimes they go a little bit more on the glowy side.
They got a
yeah.
big old
I
ship.
tend to like, and we've seen this on
I like
Discovery,
it-
the really clean, sharp, matte finishes on the ships. I think it looks more realistic. It looks more naval, but no big deal. It still looks nice.
It was some good eye candy from the start, but like I said, it was a little too much sheen to it or something.
Yeah.
But it was yeah, cool nonetheless. And the shot sinking through and getting us to see in context the corridor in relation to the outside of space was always fun. Because you can use that and gauge. It's like, okay, it's about this big on the ship, and the ship is about this big compared to that ship, and that ship is this big compared to the space station, and all that. So,
relative.
so yeah, that's
Floating in space.
that's it. We did no Locke this episode. Not much of Maul either. We learned where Maul grows
Locke
up.
and Maul, yeah.
And Cleveland
Well,
left when she was 8. She
yeah.
lost her mother at 14, 2 stints in the Emerald Chain.
So like
lockout.
this whole storyline, this is again this Jinaal storyline. It's fun. I enjoyed it. The puzzle piece thing, I get it. I'm having fun with it. It's just sometimes it's a little. I don't know. You referred to it in the past. These types of plots being very video game.
Yeah.
And again, I don't have anything wrong with that in principle, but sometimes when I'm sitting there watching it, if the acting and if the storytelling isn't like super fun, which it mostly was here, like I'm immediately taken out of it because I'm like, oh, okay, this is kind of.
I mean, they straight up say things like, "Okay, we found the next clue,"
Yes.
you know, and it's like it's not really weaved into the plot. It's not like, you know, it's like, oh, we met this person and found out they were jerks, so we ran away, but then we came across a bunch of orcs and got captured. Then the orcs were bored and played cards with us, and then we slipped poison in their food and got away, and then that's how we won the game or won the movie rather.
Well,
You win you know, it's like
I want to play that game or watch that movie.
It's like there's a story and you go to, it's the same, it results in the same thing. You're going from A to B to C, but one you're sort of, it happens due to the like doo-doo things that are happening. Whereas this is more just like, okay, we saw the writing on the stone and that told us a clue to go there, and then we looked at the drawing and there's the next clue and it's an Easter egg hunt, you know, or a treasure hunt or an Easter, whatever you want, Easter egg hunt. I don't even know if that's the right term. It's more like a treasure hunt where you go and find the clue to the next thing, you know? It's like
Easter egg hunt has like, you know, those like plastic eggs and they got like jelly beans inside.
Yeah.
That's hot shit.
It's hot shit. In this episode, I guess they got coordinates from a clue, and that clue was on. This is jumping to the end.
No, it's just when you say clue, it makes me think of that South Park episode with the Hardly Boys.
Oh yeah,
and they keep finding like they have a raging clue.
Yeah. Oh no. So basically, they're looking.
Please continue to say clue as often as you like, because I enjoy it.
And in addition to the clues, they also have to put pieces of the Triforce together.
Yes,
and so they have that thing going on too. Now, I wasn't.
Triforce.
They have the 5-part key thing.
So Jesse doesn't know about Zelda.
No, I do.
He didn't know about.
So my
Triforce.
question is,
I don't know what he's referring to in Discover.
It's in when they have to keep finding these pieces of a key.
Yeah, there's little chunks.
Yeah,
they got
and
two chunks now,
and they have to find 5 chunks.
Oh man!
And they have to put them together in that thing that they've 3D printed or whatever.
Yes.
Going back, let's not go to the end just yet. At the beginning,
all the way back at the beginning.
So
at the beginning,
they find Jinaal because they found. Apparently, okay, did we know this before? Was this a fact that Trill's head spots are like unique, like a fingerprint?
I think it was at the minimum strongly implied.
Which are unique to the individual.
Yeah.
She said that funny. The individual. And the Guardian should have records to help us find the current host. Which are unique to the individual. Find the current host. To the individual. I do know that the Federation is driven by a will to do good. Good. Find the current host. To the individual. Good.
Sorry.
No, that's excellent. Good stuff. Good stuff, Dan.
Good stuff.
Keep it up week after week.
Individual.
Whoops.
Good. Find the current host.
But yes, I do think I think we knew that.
Okay, so they found these markings on
on the chunk.
Was that on one of the key pieces? One of the Triforce pieces?
I think it was on one of the Triforce pieces.
Okay, and so
that's how I took it.
Yeah, that's what I took.
Because otherwise, it wouldn't make any sense.
I mean, that's how I took it too. But even taking it like that, it still doesn't quite make a ton of sense that these keys also have clues on them.
Well, it's to find the next key.
Yeah.
Now, and here's the thing. I think that might be part of what makes it a little bit tricky to suspend disbelief, and I don't really mean that in a strong sense because it's ridiculous. We're watching fun sci-fi, right? Yeah. Normally, we shouldn't be worrying too much about these things. But it is not just finding the 5 pieces, but finding them in a specific order.
Right.
That's what. It's not only video gamey. It's like old video gamey. It's like 1990s video gamey.
Yeah, right. It's not open-ended.
Isn't that
right.
what they did in like the second season?
A little bit.
In last season, they had a video game section, but that was just figuring out the puzzle.
But even in the second season, I guess they did find the red matter things in a certain order, but I don't remember feeling that it had to be in a specific order. So look, if you're playing a modern game like say The Witcher or one of the new Zelda games or something,
or like one of them Bethesda games,
you gotta accomplish
Fallout,
you gotta accomplish all these things, but there is some latitude into the order you can accomplish.
Yeah, exactly.
So even though we've been using this analogy of sort of the video game, even that falls apart unless you're reverting back to sort of an older form of single player video game that was a little bit more linear.
It was, and that was what's interesting. That reminded me is that most games like back in the Nintendo Entertainment System era was like that. But it made me think of Mega Man because Mega Man you could choose any level you wanted at any given time, and that was all cool. It's like, whoa, I don't have to play 1 through 10. I can fight like Spike Man or Vacuum Man or whatever man. Like
Vacuum Man.
There were all sorts of weird
Particle
dudes
Man.
named. Yeah, I don't know if there was actually a particle man. That's
No,
a good
I'm just
question.
talking
Is he a
No, I
dot?
know, but there might have been.
Or is he a speck when he's underwater? Does he get
Triangle,
wet?
man.
Or does the water get him instead?
Whoa.
Nobody knows. Particle man.
Nobody
Well,
knows.
okay, so I guess that leads back into the end clue because they were talking about Burnham.
end clue.
Hey,
Watch
What?
that. Watch that, everybody. Burnham's got the end clue. In the script, it said that it said there was in the stage directions. It's like Burnham finds the end clue.
Would that have changed your mind?
Your mind.
Your mind. Your mind.
Goofy.
So at the end, Burnham says that they found.
Burnham. Sorry, I'm not making fun of you.
It's not even.
I'm just.
I said the word. You really are amused when people mispronounce words.
No.
Are you like? Is it funny to you because you're like, haha, they know so little of the English language.
See, look.
They are not nearly as smart as me.
See, I know that's how you. I know you.
As smart as I.
No, you.
Smart as I.
As smart as I am. You conclude the sentence to as smart as me am. Or
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I am aware.
So you did a good job there.
Me.
No, I know you.
To whom
interpreted-
are you referring?
You interpret it as condescension when it's not even as coherent as condescension. It's just
You're like, how funny sounds.
It's funny sounds because you were all like Burnham.
Okay.
No, it was like earlier off before the podcast. You were talking about detective shows, and every time you
Yeah.
said that you enjoy watching detective shows, it sounded like you were stuttering, but you weren't.
Oh,
You were just saying
detective.
you were just saying detective. You were just
Yeah.
saying like you like to watch detective shows.
Yeah.
But why don't you say the word detective?
Detective.
See, it sounded sort of like you stuttered.
Not when you're thinking about the word detective.
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 All right. So you were saying.
So Burnham at the end.
Once you find the end clue.
I don't think it's a stuttering. He just has a very crisp T's.
Very crisp teeth. They said, did they say skin of our? They said skin of your teeth in this episode, didn't they?
I don't know. Did they? You're the keeper
Yeah.
of the,
Book said.
you're
Book
the keeper
said
of the scripts.
Book
You know
said
about the teeth.
Book said skin of our teeth, which I think is arguably grosser than keep your eyes peeled. Skin of your teeth. I think about like skinning
the
my
enamel, just scraping the enamel
with
off
with
your
like a
teeth.
carrot
Like,
peeler
Taking
or
your
something.
teeth out and your teeth falling
Just
out.
filing.
not-
How about
not-
filing it down? Filing your teeth down.
Yeah,
with
either filing your teeth or I would say
with an awl. You know, an awl,
Yeah.
like an AWL.
I was talking.
Awl.
As opposed to AL.
I was talking about with a carrot peeler. You'd skin your
No,
teeth.
I understand. I was offering an alternative and perhaps even
or
more hideous.
or your
thing.
skin is made or teeth is made of skin on the edge.
Ew.
All. I don't know about alls, Patrick.
I don't know about that.
I know it sounds gross.
Okay, look, I'm just trying to say Burnham
the French.
That's the French alarm, which means it's time for us to take a break.
I've been trying to make this point for like 5 minutes.
You have to
You
make
wanna
it
make
after
the
the
point
break.
quickly, or do you want to make it when we get back?
I guess we'll make it when we get back.
Make it.
Hey, everybody.
Let's make it.
We're going to be right back. Don't worry. And when we come back, Dan's got a point to make.
Point to break.
Jinaal has left you.
All right, we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Hello. Welcome.
What was that?
We have returned. We have returned to the show.
So I was saying
The program.
they found the Jinaal's face markings on the first piece of the Triforce. And so at the end of it, Burnham says that they got coordinates from their most recent clue. But I don't remember them ever specifically saying that they were looking for coordinates on that clue. It was just kind of assumed that that's what they were doing.
I think that's what. Yeah, she's just saying that's
They
how
weren't gonna
that's how
tell
they
you.
Like they
found out.
didn't even show it to you. They weren't even like, hey, look, here's the next coordinates. Like they found the piece and I was like, oh great, they found the next piece. Now they have the next piece. Now what? And then they kind of, unless I missed something, they just kind of jumped to her saying, oh yeah, and by the way, we got these coordinates off this piece. And it's like they never actually showed that happening.
You're right. And the key here is this is where we have to not quibble too much if we're going to enjoy the show, because there's so much other enjoyable aspects about it. And they've just got this series of MacGuffins. It's a MacGuffin storyline. This is nothing new to Discovery. It seems like it's a little bit more straightforward and simplistic, maybe on purpose this season, so that they could make things a little bit more contained and episodic. Because while this is clearly a continuation from the first two episodes and a chunk of this season-long arc, it did have a little bit more of the old school, like here we're just telling a story. The Jinaal one being the real continuation of the season-long arc. And then these other storylines that are more about character building and character development and stuff like that. So again, it can be a little aggravating to be like, okay, all right, this goes to this.
Right.
But then we get to see fun stuff like
stuff.
Dr. Colbert playing Jinaal, which is a reference, a recalling of the Deep Space Nine episode Facets in which Jadzia Dax goes through a similar ceremony in which all of her hosts are put into her colleagues, and she gets to chat with them. And the gag in that episode is that the host that goes into Odo is having too much fun and he doesn't want to go back. And they had hints of that here. It wasn't ever going to happen, but Jinaal had that whole talking about how, whoa, this guy works out, and this
guy really works out,
and he was doing the funny deep voice,
this guy really works out.
He like unzipped his uniform,
doing all casual.
You ask a lot of questions,
but it's always fun when
we don't have time. It'll be fine.
When you have brilliant actors. And you give that brilliant actor who's developed an excellent character a chance to play a different character, right?
All right.
And sci-fi is always a great opportunity for that. Star Trek gives us all manner of justifications for why that might happen. And this, I thought, it was very charming, very fun to see them having to interact with this.
I still don't get it.
Jinaal character.
What year is it?
Even if the actual thing they were doing was a little like, okay, right, they're walking.
An Ejinok. It's part of my job. You ask a lot of questions.
Hey, I have a joke for you.
Uh-oh.
So a Shantara.
Wait, let me start again.
Okay.
So a
Shantara.
Okay.
The handsome and erudite Captain Saru.
Okay. And
an Ejinok.
Walk into a bar.
Okay.
That's a joke.
That's not a joke. That's a setup to a joke.
So check it.
It's a confusingly presented setup to a joke.
Wait, check it out. I got a joke.
A Shantara.
The handsome and erudite Captain Saru.
And
an Ejinok.
Walk into a bar. See?
And then what happened?
Again. First of all,
all you did is adding a spark to a keg of caperdine.
You just played the same 3 clips again.
Okay, wait. I found the punchline. Okay,
but there's no punchline. Where's the punchline?
No, I got it. So check it out.
A Shantara.
The handsome and erudite Captain Saru.
And
an Ejinok.
Walk into a bar.
Okay.
Be like adding a spark to a keg of caperdine.
Okay,
that's the joke.
That's not a joke.
It's not a joke, dude.
Okay.
See, that's what happens when they walk into a bar. You're expecting the bartender to say something, but instead it just blows up.
So,
by the way, that's a simile, isn't that? Not a simile? Do Vulcans speak in simile?
No.
Well, similes, metaphors, and
like
analogies.
It's like you're making a joke about jokes if you're from like a civilization that doesn't have jokes.
By the way, audience, just so you know, Dan is from a civilization that doesn't have jokes. That's why as funny as he is, he's a funny character. He never seem to understand the structure of a joke.
I thought that was a brilliant joke.
Dan comes from a planet called Setup.
So this line.
Be like adding a spark to a keg of caperdine.
Okay.
Wouldn't you call that would be a simile, wouldn't it? Like
it's because they use the like.
Yeah.
Yes. That makes it a simile.
That's what you're talking about.
So Vulcans, I never thought of Vulcans speaking in simile before. Anyway, that's kind of
was that
off
a
topic.
Vulcan speaking? Or
that was Dr. Duvin or Mr. Duvin.
Mr. Duvin.
Mr. Duvin.
Mr. Duvin.
Mr. Duvin. Paging Mr. Duvin.
Paging Mr. Duvin.
You have a telephone call.
That was her. That was President Trina's attaché fella. Was he the one who said it?
Yeah.
What was it again? What did he say again?
Be like adding a spark to a keg of caperdine.
In reference to Saru and her like getting married.
And why is he talking about kyber crystals? What's
Caperdine. He's talking about like.
But these are new Vulcans.
He's talking about how
he
like
might be part of Romulan.
Yeah.
Maybe these are new Vulcans. Maybe they got.
These aren't your granddaddy's Vulcans.
Damn right.
These are brand spanking new Nevarans.
What?
No, because he was saying no.
Don't you know about the Nevarans?
No, oh man.
Hey everybody, welcome to Planet Nevar.
It's got a plan with nothing on it.
Logical and boring.
Ask a lot of questions.
We added a little bit of spice somewhere along the line. And now we're fun. Sexy beasts.
What?
Fuck that every 7 years bullshit. We can have sex whenever we want. And we can sneak around. We can do all sorts of sneaky stuff and have secret doors and stuff, just like our Romulan cousins.
What? What?
All right.
He said it because like he was telling Saru not to announce the marriage to Tarina because he said with the purest Vulcans it would be like adding blowing up some shit.
Yeah.
Right.
I understood I understood.
Well, then you were talking, but you were asking Patrick. You were like kyber crystals, like
kyber crystals.
Were you just being silly, or were you were questioning what I said? Why were you questioning what I said? I was simply answering your question, and then when I answered your question, you said, "Oh, I knew that." So you can't ask a question and then have it answered and then respond with, "Oh, I knew that already."
Again,
I knew that. I was just testing you.
Again, Dan, I hesitate to point this out because I
Oh, I knew that. I was just testing you.
No. I was making the Kyber crystal joke is a Star Wars joke, right? You use Kyber crystals
I know,
in order to make
but you were asking me a question.
Yeah, no, I was leveraging the information the audio information that you had provided to make a sort of Star Wars joke.
There's no way.
Yes, and it's extra funny because this is a Star Trek podcast.
Shiphead.
So every now and then, inserting a little reference to that other franchise, it tickles the audience. Trust me.
Shiphead.
Yeah, Darth Vader, baby.
There's people sitting at home right now. They're tickled. The ones that are still listening, they're tickled.
Come on, Space Dad.
All right. Well, I've lost my notes here.
Okay, well, we were on. The Colbert got possessed. I like how he was so nonchalant about it. Like they were like, "This is gonna be a tax on your emotions or whatever," and he's like, "I got it. Don't worry."
He lives with that other guy.
Yeah.
He lives with Stamets. Yes.
Yeah.
So what does that have to do with it?
Well,
Stamets is a lot.
He is a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
It's a lot.
When Tilly was
I
saying,
like him, but he's a lot.
When Tilly was saying to Raynor, when she was like, "That's the first time I've seen him like this excited about something in a long time." I was like, "Aw,
I know.
Stamets, poor Stamets."
He's always been sad about the whole decommissioning of the spore drive.
Oh yeah, and that's why he was getting all excited about this new thing.
It's even better than the spore drive.
Because he was talking about
the
progenitor tech, and he was all excited because of all the applications. Because he was probably like, "This is my chance to be remembered." Although he'll probably be remembered for that spore drive. That's newsworthy.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you think Stamets is going to get his in the end? Like his good.
You said that last week, and you gotta come up with a better way to phrase it because it sounds like a threat. It sounds like he's going to get murdered.
He's going to get it.
It'll be fine.
In the end.
If what you mean is by the end of the series, will Stamets have found a position in life that accommodates whatever psychological insecurities he has about his legacy? Yes, I do think. Probably.
I hope the spore drive works out. I hope they use the progenitor tech to make the spore drive navigable. But
just by creating a navigator, like cloning, like creating from scratch a life form specifically designed to navigate using the spore drive.
Yeah, or like a slug, or like a new kind of slug, not a trill slug, but another kind of slug you put in you that gives you the power to navigate.
Okay, I believe part of the problem they have with the spore drive is the moral problems with having either a genetically modified a person like Stamets,
well, they
or
can,
the water bear creature.
They can
shit was all
they can just create a whole species of life that their only job is to pilot those ships, and then you have to keep them in there. And you strap them in so they can't get away.
It sounds problematic, dude.
Enslave.
I was being silly.
Craft a slave race. I get what you're saying, Dan. I get what you're saying.
I'm just playing. I was being silly.
I'm just playing.
I'm just being silly, Billy.
All right. So what I was going to say is I wasn't a big fan of the upside down camera transition, and it looked cool.
Oh wait, it was
looked cool. So when they went with Jinaal to the cavern.
It was on Saru's face. Then it went up to the whiteness of the inside of the future space station, and then it faded to the whiteness of the sky down to the Jinaal. And they were using some kind of wide angle something or other because it was all like the middle was moving faster than the outside parts.
Yes,
it was like
all of that looked cool. It was
just kind of like
it's my light critique.
There wasn't any sort of like symbolism to it or anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Precisely, Dan. Mm-hmm. If you're going to do a radical camera move, it can't simply be neat. You need to be doing something, contributing something to the story, whether it's unsettling somebody, disorienting somebody. And by the way, Discovery has used these shots well to contribute to the characterization of the people in the scene, or to set
it's the people in the scene,
to set the flavor of the scene somehow.
You won't know until they're seen. The people in the scene.
I am not as big a fan when it's just sort of like, it's fun. Let's just do this. It'll be clever.
Well, that's what I was saying. When they went to the Matrix construct thing with Kovich, I think that was the first episode where it was in the white background. They did a spinny maneuver, and that to me was like right on the border. Because
it was disorienting, which you would be disoriented if you appeared in a white blankness.
But at the same time, you could tell they were just trying to be be kind of like flashy about it. So it was
which is fine if it has a purpose.
But to me, that was like right in the dead center. So, but like when they do like the ship zoom in shots. Now, one thing they're always doing is an engineer when they have that digital holo display
in the engineering,
and there's someone on either side. They're always circling around it. That shit kind of drives me a little nuts.
Yeah, it makes me a little ill. Sometimes.
Yeah, but I always like the zoom in shots to give perspective to the ships and the space and
stuff. At
the
end of this episode, they had a series of shots with Saru narrating and stuff where you see where you see you see the sort of resolutions to all the little storylines throughout the episode fading into one of each. You know, it wasn't hard cuts. That worked well. I thought that was a denouement to the story, and it was it was good. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I did not enjoy this one so much, but again, I don't like
you're right.
to be down on them because it was an interesting idea to have part of this secret be held in the memory of an 800-year-old worm creature.
What if she died? Then they would have lost it.
Yeah, that's the negative part of it, where you're like, okay, and it's very convenient that they're showing up exactly on time for all these.
And I wasn't sure where he was he ended up hiding the key, because it looked like he just hid it under some other rock.
he just grabbed it off of some other rock,
and it seemed like it wasn't hidden that well. So it makes me think he had it on his person the whole time or something. But it couldn't have, because then it was Colbert, so he couldn't have had it on his person.
Maybe he's a flim flam man.
He's a flim flam man. He's the flim flam man.
But
baby,
I also
he's a flim flam man.
Appreciated how much proper Star Trek style storytelling there was in this A plot, where the Culber, even though again, it's a little like ridiculous if you.
It was
you
a
think
little
about a real thing. The idea of you have to learn to be nice. You have to prove that you're nice in order to get the clue. That's kind of awesome compared to so many times where it's like, to get the clue, you have to bribe the person or murder this person or get past the booby trap.
It was funny because the answer was to be nice to the
It was kind of like the Gambit, the conclusion to remember when we discussed Gambit, where it's the Vulcan weapon that reflects like evil, it reflects emotions, but it's totally useless if you just are like feel nice, if you feel all happy, then it doesn't it doesn't impact you.
Right. They had to be all nice to those carnivorous quadrupeds, and it made me think
Felis catus.
It made me
your taxonomic nomenclature.
It made me think about how it was the exact opposite of like that Mandalorian episode where he had to go to like some cave
and murder.
He had to murder
a beautiful dragon creature.
Yeah, so he could take his eggs and feed it to like the fucking Jawas.
They're all like glopping. They're all like glopping in it.
And that was like the heroic ending to that story. And it was like,
it was an upsetting episode.
That was a little bit of a bummer.
At the same time, I kind of dug that they did that because it's so fucked up.
Yeah, I know. So I can't be too mad at him about it. But this isn't direct opposition.
I eat eggs.
Yeah, eggs are good.
I love a soft boiled egg. Jesse doesn't eat eggs.
Good.
Good. More for you.
Dan and I eat all manner of eggs.
You eat like lizard eggs?
I was having a little bit of a trouble.
Loggerhead turtle eggs?
Loggerhead. I'll show you a head of my log.
Oh, okay, no, dude.
Let's do this again.
What?
Edit it out.
It's funny because there was a joke about a turtle head right there.
I'm not joking, Lee.
Anyway, you were saying, Dan.
I was saying I was having a little trouble getting into Culber's Jinaal character at first. It was like throwing me off.
It was a lot, but I in the end
But over time, I started getting used to it. But at first, I was just like, well, this is weird.
I was not 100% into the creatures. The whole cloaking and this, that, and shooting the barbs.
Weird bugs.
It was cool. I mean, I appreciated it.
You know, they have the ability. They have superhero powers. They can zap themselves anywhere they want, and they did that during that battle.
Sometimes, yeah.
And like for superheroes, that's enough for them to easily win a fight. So you'd think that they could easily fuck that thing up if they can just zip zap around.
But I guess the idea is that they don't want to. And again, which I like.
Well, they don't want to, right?
It's the Star Trek style.
What if they had found the clue? Actually, no, they wouldn't have been able to find the clue because it wasn't there. But I was just saying, like, what if they searched through that whole rock and were able to do that and somehow keep the carnivorous quadrupeds at bay?
You like?
I'm trying. I can't remember what they're called. What did they?
I never caught what they were called,
I never paid any. Not only did I not learn it, I didn't pay any attention.
They're not Inu raptors. Those were the things that those. By the way, those Inu raptors, that little body that the thing ate, you could tell it was a little CG there.
It didn't eat much of it either. Yeah, it's like why'd they leave so much behind?
It was a lot of sand.
Enoraptor. I'm trying to figure out what the name of this fucking creature is. Anyways, yeah, so they could, when they were fighting this thing, you'd think they could have. Okay, what if? No, that is what I'm saying. I was saying, what if they were able to keep the alien creatures at bay and search through that spot they were supposed to search through, and they were like, "There's nothing here," you know? Then what?
Yeah,
For real, dude.
I get what you're saying now. I was confused at first.
I'm not really sure where I was going now that I said it.
You're interrogating the plot somewhat, but again, we just need to not worry too much about the actual mechanics of the plot because they are a little bit simplistic and silly and not entirely coherent.
I like this part. I could totally relate to this.
Is it on 3 or after 3?
Yes.
Right, is it 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3? Go.
Like that was on the money for me.
And then how he just ran out.
He just ran. I guess, was he trying to be a hero or was he just like that excited? I couldn't tell.
It's a good question. It was funny.
And then later when Burnham was gonna like pull that thing out on 3, and he was all like,
"What happened?"
Yeah, right.
After 3, Michael.
Yes.
And she's
good advice.
Doesn't hurt as much when you're not expecting it.
Oh, that was another rush line.
Doesn't hurt as much when you're not expecting it. You didn't need him with their powers to tell us that. Doesn't hurt as much when you're not expecting it. You didn't need him with their powers to tell us that. Doesn't hurt as much when you're not expecting it. You didn't need him with their powers to tell us that.
That's true too. It doesn't hurt as much as when you're expecting it. I remember I was like in the doctor's office and they had to pull some shit out of me. And that sounds
okay. Hey Jesse. Hey Jesse. Should we? I don't know. Should we press Dan on exactly what he was referring to, because
they had to pull.
If I had only heard it, I would have said, Dan, you know what? I want you to provide more details. The problem is I saw Dan miming the doctor's pulling something out of him, and it makes me a little nervous.
Okay. It wasn't
Some
any
effort was made.
It wasn't anything unusual. I'll just say that.
I don't know.
Don't turn me into something unnatural.
I had 2 tubes in me. I had two tubes. I had 2 tubes in me.
2 tubes.
And he had to pull both of them out.
Oh man.
And the first one he just yanks it out of nowhere. And I'm like, whoa!
But
he just like walks up and
but the second one he did it all super slow.
No, but what was it, Jesse?
Did they have to sew you up or something?
I think it just healed on its own after they took it out.
Man.
I just had a hole in my stomach.
The human body is so amazing and gross.
I know. I just this hole in my stomach for a while. But like the first one, he pulled out all fast, like out of nowhere. I was like, "Whoa!" But then the second one, he was like, "Okay," and I was like, I knew it was coming this time, and he pulled it out, and I was totally like, that sucks, because I knew it was fucking coming. It's true. It's true.
I agree with.
And because the way he pulled it out was
Burnham's advice,
and the way he pulled it out was really frightening too, because he didn't like kind of gently pull it out. He just fucking whipped it out. Made me think like, what if it gets stuck on a part of my intestines and like pulls my fucking guts out?
Pull your fucking guts out.
It wouldn't be pleasant, but it'd be kind of hilarious. Like we pulled this guy's guts.
Let's do it.
We just pulled this guy's guts out. Whoops.
What happened to Dan? Oh, he got his guts pulled out.
It's just a crazy idea.
I like that they mentioned the Dominion War.
Oh yeah.
And Jinaal, and it all makes sense, right? So the chase in TNG, which this storyline is based off of, that was season 6, season 7, whatever it was, late TNG. And then after TNG, these scientists that were part of this, some of them got together and grabbed some people, and then they went on this search for this device. Now, we've only heard about this device in cryptic terms from Jinaal. Stamets has done some analysis and discovered some information.
But I don't know that Stamets really discovered what he said wasn't really discovery. He was just like, imagine the application. It's like he didn't need to decipher all that Romulan tricorder stuff to figure out the applications for that. Like that just goes without saying. If you can create life, you could probably do all sorts of other shit too.
Yeah.
So I believe he discovered stuff through that tricorder, but nothing he expressed to us was evidence of that.
I think we were meant to understand that he did have a greater understanding.
Yeah,
but it's not like he has the blueprints for the thing, right? It's just he's got some information from the
blueprints.
Thing. But it's cryptic. It's all presented to us as very cryptic, which is fine. get nervous sometimes when you have, it's like the whole Lost style mystery box stuff where you're like, okay, what's going to happen at the end?
Yeah.
Like, it better be pretty good. Now, in season 4, Species 10C, I think turned out pretty rad. It was like, wow, this is some pretty rad, like the shit that this was all leading to was totally awesome.
You're talking about, in Discovery.
Yeah, because remember they had to, it was another mystery thing, and then they find this big slug tentacle creature.
The thing with like shows like Lost is they introduce these like powerful questions and like you're like, what the fuck's gonna happen? And on their way to find the answer, they get distracted and then they give you a new question to look for, so you forget about the old question. It's like you keep going this like fractal sort of nested sort of plot line where on your way to solving one plot, you get distracted with another plot. On your way to that plot, you get distracted with another. You never quite resolve anything, but you're always in a state of wondering what's coming next.
Yeah.
And then
it's
before
like browsing Wikipedia.
Yeah, hyperlinks.
And
so you're
hypertext
eventually
transfer protocol.
So eventually you're so deep in it, you don't even remember what the original, you don't even care what the original was anymore. And that can be annoying because that's kind of like just cheating people along, like with a, but they're still fun to watch those shows. But, but I'm not saying Discovery's doing that. I'm just saying.
No, but it's, look, I'm enjoying this program. I think Discovery's great, and I bet the end. I have a high level of confidence that we are going to lead to a fun, interesting conclusion here.
I find that so far the episodes I'm thinking are more fun than they were last season.
Yeah,
there was a couple episodes last season where I was just like,
it was intense.
There was a few episodes where they took something small, like that one episode where they were trying to break into the ship, and it was like every little thing they did was an entire episode. And I guess you could say that's cool because they broke it down into, but
it stretches things out.
That's the thing is the way they implemented it didn't feel as cool as it could have been, because like you said, some things felt stretched out. I was like, okay, I get it. Just like jump 10 minutes ahead to the next part. Like if you can find a compelling way to make this, it wasn't always compelling the way they were trying to get to what they were doing.
And I think one of our, and it's not just us, I think one of the common criticisms of Discovery is that it's maybe the kind of show that doesn't need it was 14, 15 episodes a season sometimes. This season it's 10 episodes, which I think can bode well.
Mm-hmm.
I do miss the era of the 26 episodes, 24 episodes a season, but that was episodic.
Yeah.
Where you can have, that gives you the opportunity to have some character focused episodes, some cheaper, quieter episodes, that sort of thing.
Some throwaway episodes.
Exactly. And then some will be shit.
Well, Strange New Worlds could have followed that pattern.
Yeah, but you know, Strange New Worlds is the kind of show or Lower Decks that might benefit from actually having more episodes, because it would give them some breathing room to do some of these other things. Mm-hmm. But if you're telling a season-long arc, I really think those more concise lengths are helpful, so that you're not just spreading things out, like the Bilbo Baggins, spreading butter over too little butter over too much bread kind of business.
Yeah, that made me feel sad inside.
It should. That was my intention. I wanted to take a small amount of happiness from you this evening, Dan.
That's how he gets off.
It's like thinking about butter spread over too much toast. Your soul is like falling apart.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
And so
what about jam?
Jam. Too little jam. Yeah, see, the problem with jam is if you don't have enough, like butter, if you've only got a little butter, it's fine. But if you only have a little jam,
butter,
you might as well not bother.
Right.
It's
like not having enough shaving cream or something.
Yeah, there's a threat. Exactly. There's a
it's worth it.
A threshold you need. But yeah, so I'm happy that they've got 10 episodes this season to keep things tight, keep things concise. I like that they're structuring things a little bit more to have single episodes, because there's another critique. As much as we enjoyed the 4th season of Discovery, one problem it had, and one problem that I think we saw throughout Picard, was that because they're telling this grander tale, different components of the story are advancing at different rates, and so that you'd have tonal weirdness, you'd have fast-paced and then slow-paced, but they're not related, and so like this thematically they didn't always connect. So far this season of Discovery, each episode, despite having components of this season-long arc, they've still focused on certain thematic elements. And this episode more so even than the first two, where you have these 4 stories we're following, and they've each got a beginning, middle, and end in this episode, which is great. And I think that makes it that much more enjoyable and easier to digest.
Yeah. So on on the one hand, with the Saru and Trina story, I'm really enjoying it. On the other hand, it's kind of slight. At least it was so far in this episode. It was just a very basic, like one simple idea of.
But it was basic. It was also basically 2 scenes.
Yeah,
maybe
right,
2.5, which is why it didn't drag.
Yeah,
it just was like, here's the problem. Here's the complication. Here's the solution.
I like seeing them together, and I like watching. I find I enjoy those scenes with Saru and Trina.
Have you
together.
looked up Rule 34? Saru,
No, I have
Trina,
not. I have not.
Sex porn?
No.
Do you think it exists?
No.
You don't think it exists?
It's horrible.
I'm not saying that we have to search for Rule 34, Saru, Trina, romantic. You know, I don't mean anything prurient. I mean something loving. You don't want to see some loving depictions, or what about what about some slash fiction, some fan fiction, so it's not even an image. What do you think?
Can't make sense of.
I'm not trying to degrade their relationship.
No,
I think it's beautiful because I.
There's no way.
you doth protest too much. You might be one of those. I want to find out if Dan is one of those fanfic authors that goes under a pseudonym, and you're like one of the most prolific sexual fantasy writers.
I'm not. You can believe me.
I read those books about the dinosaurs.
Oh yeah, that's Chuck Tingle.
Yeah.
Chuck Tingle's fantastic.
Like dinosaur butt with the butt master.
Seriously,
dinosaur
folks,
butt.
if folks at home, those who are not aware, look up Chuck Tingle, get his books. You will not be disappointed.
This is my favorite book.
They are worth the price just for the title alone.
Okay, so speaking of cryptic, and I think they might have done this on purpose, but Saru was meeting up with he's like an ambassador, right? And he was meeting up with that guy, basically telling him, "You're not going to get your starbase,
but you're going to those people."
You say you're not going to get your starbase, but we're going to give you security because our planets need protection too. And the way that was presented, it was presented with Trina. He's like, "I've got this idea to present to him. I'm not sure it's got a controversial position," but they never actually outright say what his position is. They never. They imply that it's like they do talk about like. All it starts with the guy saying like, "Well, we need a starbase," and he's like, "Well, you'll have security."
It's it's a bureaucratic situation.
Yeah, well, yeah,
limited resources.
Well, but what I'm saying, 1 second.
Okay,
what I'm saying is
1 second alarm. 1 second alarm. Everybody, 1 second.
They sort of give the result of the. They don't give you the subject of the conversation. They don't give you his policy. They don't tell you what it is he's trying to enact. They just give the sort of reactions to what it is he's trying to enact. And so I guess they might have done that on purpose in saying, like you said, it's this bureaucratic meeting. It doesn't really matter what the policy was that he was enacting. But I just thought it was interesting that they never actually outright stated what that policy was. I don't know.
Well, I agree that we do not get the full picture of what the policy is. We can infer that originally certain promises were made with regard to the building of actual star bases in certain systems, and that for one reason or another, probably related to resource allocation.
Well, in TNG,
a new plan has been developed that's going to result in not in no star bases being built, but in being built in a different order. That's my understanding, my interpretation.
I feel like, and obviously this isn't TNG, but I feel like in TNG they would have been like, well, what did they think about the treaty where you have to blah blah blah, the new arms treaty with the blah blah blah, and they say, well, they don't like the position, and they say, well, what about the building treaty and the this treaty and the that treaty? They would have like told you what treaty it was.
Yeah, and then Deanna Troi would have said that she senses concern. All right.
There's no way.
Hey, that's
it's horrible.
That music indicates that
good.
It's time for us to go for a break.
It'll be fine.
We have to take a break. It will be fine.
It'll be fine.
We just have to take a quick break.
All right.
After we conclude our break activities, we will return, and that will let us wrap up our conversation. It's Star Trek Discovery, Season 5, Episode 3, Jinaal!
Thank you. For now I can rest.
Be right back.
Oh, yeah. You look great, kid.
We're back.
All right.
You thought we were
You
gone.
look great, kid.
It's got
All right.
We are back and better than ever, and you all are going to enjoy the
What?
last section of the show.
Or
What?
you won't.
No, they will,
What?
Jesse.
Okay,
I
cool.
guarantee
That's
What?
fucking it.
All right then.
We have all
What?
sorts of surprises up our sleeves for you.
What?
In this closing section of
What?
the It's Got Star Trek podcast.
I can't wait.
Me
What?
neither. I'm so excited
What?
to bring
What?
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 all these delicious
What?
things. All these delicious surprises.
There's some kind of salsa music. I can't hear it.
It
What?
is- oh yeah, this is some sort of salsa music. Okay.
What?
Welcome back. We're gonna
What?
fade that. We're gonna fade that right back out there.
What was that?
What year is it?
Right.
Have you lost your mind?
It's 1998, Dan.
I often wonder.
It's 1998. And we are ready to go, ready to talk about Star Trek. You all have been sitting, waiting patiently at home.
Oh, Itronach. That's what those things were
Like a
called.
bunch of
Oh,
An
okay.
Itronach.
Dan's figured
I even
out.
had a sound file on it.
Sure it's worth it?
Oh my God! Oh, I'm dizzy. I'm dizzy. All right, great. All right. None of that. Let's get back to our regular format that longtime listeners will enjoy.
Itronach.
We're having a little bit of extra fun
How
this
could I
week
for-
because
how could I
we
for-
got new listeners for
How-
a new season of Star Trek.
I can't believe I forgot it was called an Itronach because it was part of my setup to my joke. Do you remember the joke?
I do remember.
Oh, my Lord.
I remember you having a setup to a joke.
No, I had a whole joke.
No, no,
Remember?
you did not-
I remember there being
Remember
parts
You did not
of
have
the
a
joke.
whole joke. You
No,
did not.
no. I'll tell it to you again. I'll tell it to you again.
Oh, you're gonna.
Yeah, I'll tell it to you again.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
Okay.
Hey, Shantara.
The handsome and erudite Captain Saru.
And
An Itronach.
walk into a bar.
Be like adding a spark to a keg of caperdine.
Okay.
That
now,
was the joke.
Suggestion for the future: if you have a setup that involves saying walking into a bar, then you have to have a clip of Christopher Walken.
See, I'll be damned. You'd be damned.
He'd be down. You know, some sort of, but an actual, because it's hard to do a good impersonation of Christopher Walken because he's such an
crazy idea.
Yeah. All right.
Why do I have to have a Christopher Walken clip? Is there a joke?
Is that
I'm
the
missing?
setup to a joke?
What?
Why did?
No, it's, God damn it.
All right. No, it's okay.
The individual.
All right. Summer vibes coming at you. It's got Star Trek.
Better pick up the pace.
Week after week for 236 weeks in a row, we've talked about Star Trek from time to time.
What?
Other times we talk about
What?
non-Star Trek
What?
stuff.
What?
Non-Star Trek stuff.
What?
Huh?
Yeah. So, okay, I think we've covered most of that that main storyline, the Jinaal storyline. But I do want to make one comment because, again, I don't want to be critical here. I'm not yet convinced by this whole Maul lock, like Maul showing up at the end. I don't know. I was just like,
She
I
put
don't-
some kind of tracking goo on her. Some
Yeah,
tracking slime.
That I get.
She put the tracking slime on her. How'd she get to the planet without them noticing?
Well, exactly. Look, I get it. I buy it. She's a super duper criminal
They
or
were
whatever.
a couple steps ahead.
This was not as bad as when Maul and Locke unarmed defeated
like
an
a
android
and its two
and
guards.
his two guards, which I totally didn't buy. And
Like
it was
the
just
android
a very
alone,
unconvincing
the android
scene.
alone could have fucking
One
fucked
would
him up.
but apparently not. Apparently doesn't know.
You ever
do
seen
nothing.
Data fight? Data just casually picks someone up by one arm
Yeah.
and tosses him across
Data
the room.
opens up doors, man.
Data's like in the lost Gospels of when they talk about Jesus as a teenager when he was just like murdering people left and right. you
Gog
know?
and
Data was doing
Magog.
that too.
Okay. What?
Look it up. Yeah. So this is for me so far, and I hope it changes. I'm willing to accept that it can change.
Trouble in paradise, genius.
And it's nothing against the actors or anything. I think the actors are doing fine. It's just I'm not yet understanding or buying into this whole Maul and Locke being these. They're able to defeat the Federation and Starfleet, and they appear everywhere and anywhere and can get into anything.
Well, they haven't shown enough info on them yet. Maybe
Exactly.
they'll get to that.
We don't. Yeah, you know what? Our only background is that Maul was the daughter of Cleveland Booker, the mentor of our very own Cleveland Booker.
Oh, I
Titular.
see.
And that's how he knows her. She must have had a rough life without parental figures, I guess. We can make some assumptions, but I don't know. To me, it's not quite enough to buy into. They haven't done enough, I think, to convince me that these characters can do this believably. Now,
No, you're right.
maybe that can
I
change.
don't believe
Maybe
it.
that can change. Everything else, I'm totally digging. I'm having a good time.
Then they and we already mentioned this. I mentioned this. They brought Jet Reno back.
Yes,
Hell yeah,
yes.
dude.
Jet Reno.
Good for you, Dan.
Reno.
Yes, you did mention
Last time
that.
I did this, they gave me chips.
No chips this time.
I don't know. I just love
I
like
love-
Tig Notara's delivery in this
She's
show.
fantastic.
I know,
She's
I
great.
know.
It's so
I love it.
distinctly like her, and it
Yeah.
and it almost takes me out of it for a minute, but I don't care because it's just so entertaining.
She's made her own character.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instantly classic character, and I'm glad that we get to have a few more appearances and get to look forward to this. We'll see it once or twice more throughout the season.
I hope so.
Can't wait.
I like how when Raynor was talking about how he learned all these things from 20 words or less from people, and then he got to Tig Notaro, or he got to Jet Reno,
Yes.
and I was looking forward to him like analyzing her, and he's like, should I go on? I was like, but I was like, I get they did that on purpose.
Well, why don't we go ahead and talk about that storyline, because I enjoyed that. It was one of the more enjoyable storylines because it was concrete and interesting character development for a new character that we've just been introduced to in the last couple episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And it harkens back again to
Harkens back again
to the older style Star Trek, where they would take time to have these little vignettes with people so that we'd learn about them.
Oh.
Who's next?
And what what I really like about this particular setup is that he's, on the one hand, he's sort of presented as like, oh, he's a hard ass. He's that's just his thing. And so that's why he's being a dickhead. But the way they tell the story and the way the actors portray things, it's almost more like he has like social anxiety or something. It's almost like he's building a defense. There's something else going there. It's not just, oh, I'm a hard ass and so this is what I think should be done. He almost doesn't even seem to buy that, because at the very last shot is him kind of looking forlornly at all these happy people socializing, but he doesn't join them yet.
Yeah, and at the end, like when he was all talking to Tilly trying to smooth things out, she wasn't even like, "It's cool, dude." By the end, she was still just like, "Man, get your shit together."
Yeah.
You know? And then even at the end, over the narration where Gray was narrating over the end, he says, "We must choose."
Or doing that. The Gray was doing the
whatever
just to
that's called,
specify
voiceover.
It was a ritual. It was a trill ritual.
Yeah.
That happened to also thematically link to all the individual stories that we were seeing.
And he says we must choose to connect not just with others, but also with ourselves. Then he says sometimes we fail, and it showed Raynor, and it said sometimes we succeed, and it showed Tilly laughing.
Yeah.
So they're just straight up saying like Tilly's killing it, and Raynor is fucking it up somehow. or something.
This was for me.
Tilly's always killing it.
This was for me one of the best parts of the episode because it wrapped things up and it demonstrated that there was a thematic relationship between the different story arcs that all, again, had their beginning, middle, and end components within this episode. And that narration from that trill ceremony, it worked very well to pull everything together in a way that maybe wasn't 100% apparent as you're watching the episode, because you're all, you're just all wrapped up in the story and the excitement and all that stuff. So
Is your end my middle?
Wait a second, is that some kind of deep cut?
No,
Is
that's
this
just-
inside baseball?
That's one of the classic Jesse non sequiturs.
I think he's like referencing something I say to him sometimes.
Is it the penis in the mouth thing?
Penis is my mouth.
I think it shows up on the podcast from time to time.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, it's not exactly.
Or mouth is penis. Yeah.
Mouth is penis?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something along those lines.
It's dirty.
Speaking of connection, yet at the beginning,
Speaking of connection, mouth is penis.
I actually didn't mean it that way.
Is your mouth my... Okay.
No, but that's...
Okay, just to clarify, there's a playful little game, a playful little
playfully
tradition
abusive.
between these two, where Dan is often asking Jesse if his mouth is his... If what is it? Is you say, is your mouth my penis?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or is my penis your mouth?
No, I don't say that.
He would never say
I
that.
wouldn't say
Jesse.
that.
He's like, is your mouth
It's
my
always
penis?
confusing.
It is always a little confusing.
It's a peculiar but enjoyable, fun little tradition.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Dude. Continue.
Back to the podcast.
Anywho, back at the ranch.
Speaking of when Gray was saying we must choose to connect, and that's interesting because Burnham actually says at the beginning,
Burnham.
she says connection is a choice to Raynor. And I have to only partially agree with that statement. Because connection, yes, you can choose to connect to people, but sometimes it's fucking hard to connect to people.
Right.
And it's not as easy for everyone.
I think he has social anxiety.
Right. That would make
that is masked by his
weird ears.
Rigid by his rigid.
Yeah, well, we don't know. We still don't know what species he is.
Yeah, we do. He's a Kalaran. We know that from
No, we
Deep Space
don't.
Nine. Yes, we do. We talked about this last
Did
week.
we?
Yes.
Oh,
He says a lot of
You
human
just never-
phrases.
you
He's
just
really into
never pay attention to me.
You're right.
He was on,
Just turn it off.
on season 2 of Deep Space Nine. I forget which episode. The Kalarans are introduced, and they have goofy ears, and they wear their hair in buns.
Okay.
Heron buns.
So
Is it Armageddon game? I forget.
the way that this episode presents this this connection thing, since both Gray and Burnham say that, it's like the writers are telling us that like connection is a choice. It's not just the characters are telling us that, the writers thematically are telling us that connection is a choice, and I disagree with that. It's true to an extent, but some people are straight up better at it than others. And like you said, social anxiety would answer the thing, but I don't know if that's what they intended, because like they're trying to make us believe that connection is simply a choice, and I don't know if I fully agree with that.
I agree. I was a little thrown off when Burnham was talking about connection being a choice, and I understood what she was saying.
I understood what they were getting at totally, but I didn't quite.
It
was
was
a
the
little
whole, Sith and absolutes and
It's an
stuff.
irresponsible statement.
The old
irresponsible.
absolutes.
That's right. That's Jesse. You put it well. This is an irresponsible
Thank you,
statement.
sir.
I'm enjoying Raynor's character though. I like that little fly in the ointment.
He's really into human phrases.
He's a funny dude.
Yeah,
he was
I think he's made the effort to learn them because he's in Starfleet.
But when he said,
But I can walk and chew gum.
I don't know if he used that correctly.
I don't know if he really knows what he's saying.
I don't think so, because she goes, Zora's already Oh yeah, I also liked how okay, so he's talking about how he's going to monitor.
Should have said like play ball or something.
He's talking about how he was like, I'd rather sit here and monitor the situation so I can figure out when Maul and Locke are in the area, until he's like, computer does that, dude, and he's like, it's like he's old school, but at the same time, this is the 32nd century.
It's the fucking future, dude.
So it doesn't matter how old school you are in the 32nd century, you're going to be aware of tech that's at least 1,000 years old, which is computers find shit like that faster than humans.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Dan.
But it could have just been an excuse not to talk to people.
I don't disagree with you, Dan, but I also think it's totally feasible that 1,000 years from now, you will have people like you and me who will insist on doing things that don't necessarily need to be done, because it just is like, I want to pay attention to what's going on here. Mm-hmm. And when he said I can walk and chew gum at the same time, what he meant to say was, look, they can come visit me because that way I can keep looking at my screens and fulfill my desire to look at these screens, and they can walk in and I can talk to them. Okay, that's what he's doing, two things at once.
Well, yeah, and I thought, with two things at once, like
by them coming to him,
one thing
because he can still look at his screen.
When it was confusing to me, because he said walk and chew gum, so that made me think, well, he can walk around and talk to them while looking at his pad at the same time.
Yeah, but the
way he presented it made it seem like he couldn't walk and chew gum, because he's like, they got to come to me. I'm not going to multitask.
I feel you. It is a metaphor, perhaps an imperfectly placed metaphor, because Tilly was talking about him going on a tour.
Okay, I think I got it.
But he meant it in the context of I can do two things at once if you have the people come to me, because I guess maybe the pad can accommodate what he wants to do.
Maybe he had the wrong pad. He should have gotten the correct pad.
Could be.
Yeah, that's a 2-pad operation. I mean, look at that screen he's looking at. It's big, man. It's got 2 sides on it. I mean, come on.
He also used the break the ice, which he pissed off Burnham at the beginning. He was all just like, you got my job, or whatever. And then Burnham was all like, "Oh yeah." She had to stare him down and be like, she had to stare him down and be like, "I'm in charge."
Yeah.
And he was like, "I'm just trying to break the ice."
It's like he's not used to talking to people for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's kind of weird.
Because he has social anxiety. I think that's going to be his thing.
And then he had that thing where they had to say 20 words or less. Okay, check this out.
That was great.
So we know Reese is...
good. I was wondering if Dan was going to count up all the words.
How do you know where I'm going with this?
Because I know you, Dan.
Because it's the 236th episode.
We've been doing this podcast for quite some time.
You know me. So Reese, he starts when he says,
I'm a real shiphead.
So he goes, I'm a real shiphead, love the crossfield, but something about the curves of a 23rd century Constitution class just gets me.
And I agree with him.
And Rayner says that was 22 words. Or was it 21 words? Is shiphead 1 or 2 words?
Well, what number results in it being 22?
Well,
if it's 2 words,
yeah, I mean that's basic math, right? That's arithmetic. If it's 1 word, then it would be 1 less.
That's arithmetic.
I was an English major.
I'm
not responsible
I'm a math
for any of this
major.
business.
So shiphead would be 22 words.
My name is
Shiphead
Dan.
as 1 word would be 21 words.
I think you can. I think I'm trying to think grammatically of shithead, which this is obviously a.
That's with a
parody
T.
of. That might be 2 words. It's probably acceptable to spell it as shithead as a single word.
I think
but I think probably technically.
Shithead.
All right, if I
probably
text,
2 words.
If I try to text Dan shithead,
all right.
So does it say it's a typo?
Well, you should, in order to make sure that it's as clear as possible to the spell check, you should text Dan that Dan, you are a shithead.
Yeah,
you want it to understand the grammar. Otherwise, it's not going to necessarily give you the right correction.
It says shithead's fine.
With 1 word or 2 words?
With 1 word.
We'll try it with 2 words and see if it still thinks.
What about when things are hyphenated? That counts as 2 words.
It depends. So you mean because you can hyphenate. So like if you're
don't forget to hyphenate.
Well, okay, because if you have an adjective that you're applying,
if you ever hyphenate something, it never tells you it's a typo.
That's true. Yeah, the computers are not yet that advanced.
I think hyphen words can be thought of as 1 or 2 words, but I think they're generally 2 words. But I don't know. It's a question. Okay, here's another one though. Tilly says,
"Oh,
okay. Here's Tilly's.
Back to the podcast.
This is Tilly's 20 words.
Here are my 20 words.
Yeah.
You're on a new ship, fresh off a demotion, trying to hide how hard that is by being a giant." Well, that's 20 words.
Yeah, that was cute.
Now, was it actually 21 words? Because she begins the sentence with
Oh.
She begins the sentence with
You're
as an utterance and not a word. Or do you mean as in a?
As in
the word a.
UH comma.
Okay, that doesn't count. That doesn't count as a word.
But
you would elide any ahs or ums.
But when you look at closed captioning or transcripts or whatever, is spelled out as its own word.
Look,
but it's not.
It's not counted. You don't count.
But so even
utterance.
when you look at it on a page, it's not called a word. It's called an utterance. When you read the word off a page.
Look, this is a nuanced difference. If you were doing a word count, yes, a technical word count. However, in this case,
but nobody ever does that.
The 20-word limit is implicitly understood to refer to the words that are communicating the information that the person speaking the words intends to get across to the audience.
I see what you're saying, but
does not
no,
count.
wait. But is a word allowable in Scrabble. So it's a word.
Well, this isn't Scrabble,
This is not Scrabble. This is communication.
But it's a word.
No.
It's a word. I think it's arguable.
Look, Dan, I'm going to tell you 2 things. Thing number 1.
Oh, shit.
I would fight and die for your right to believe in whatever nonsense you want to believe. But
Sabotage.
But simultaneously, I would fight and die to stop your kind from fucking shit up.
We're dangerous.
It does not count. It's right out.
Okay.
Right out.
It's right out.
It's right out.
If you're not careful, you're going to get sacked.
Any other...
I say it's
any other numbers.
For the record, I say it's possibly 21, but I respect others' opinions on that.
He respects
What?
people's opinions.
Is that the music that means it's time
What?
to end the podcast?
It's time to end
What?
the podcast. Not quite
What?
yet, but soon. We're getting close
What?
to the end.
What?
What?
That was a short one. That was good. I like when they actually end. Barn.
I know when things actually.
All right, like we are in the end stretch here, but we have a couple other things to discuss. Rayner, I think we've covered most of that business. Adira and Gray, the breakup was it was a bit abrupt, but I thought it was very realistic.
It was like super mutual.
It was sad, but
come on, Space Dad.
Thought well portrayed. You kind of get the impression that they're trying to free up Adira for some plot stuff. Whatever the reason, it works. We get to see Gray, and we see that Gray he's doing very well in his new drill business.
He's got some hair.
They have a very mature conclusion to their relationship where they're like, look, we still like each other. It's just,
we don't like each other.
No, I think they even still like each other. They're like, our life circumstances, our
they
ambitions.
have to live their lives. Yeah.
This is a very common thing, particularly for young folks, late teens, early 20s, etc., where you just have to make some
I have no idea what that's
hard decisions. Yeah, I know. We can't remember back then.
All of it's just not the same.
But while it was sad, I enjoyed that we got to see it in an interesting and mature fashion.
It wasn't that sad. Like, you feel, hopeful that they're making the right choice.
Yeah,
or something. Like,
I think you're right. I think that's the other thing that makes it undercuts any sadness.
We know Adira's going to go on and have some adventures on Discovery.
Yeah, they're gonna have a good time and help save the universe.
So Adira says, I can put in for more leave and I can even ask about transferring. And then Gray goes, I wouldn't want you to do that for me, just like you wouldn't want me to give this up for you. I think that's presumptuous. How do we know that? Maybe Adira would do that.
But I believe
it, but it's just presumptuous. It's still presumptuous.
I wouldn't go so far. I don't.
Maybe they've had a lot of off-camera conversations that would make it.
Dan.
Maybe he knows Adira well enough to be able to say that with confidence.
Exactly. So what I was going to say, and I didn't want to be too cute about it, but I was going to say, I think it might be presumptuous for you to assume it's presumptuous.
Ooh, you're so adorable.
Because of exactly the reason you suggested, which is that Gray knows Adira very well. So they probably know the deal. Okay.
I've laid 3 clutches.
What's the remaining storyline that we haven't talked? Oh yeah, the Trina Saru.
We already mentioned that.
We
briefly.
did touch base on it. I did like the whole political aspect of it was interesting. I think it was cool that they had Trina note to Saru. She's like, I didn't fucking ask for your help, bro.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. In the 32nd century, there's still this like tendency for guys to want to like.
Saru's from the 22nd century.
Yeah, that's true. But even in the 22nd, that's still. You're right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
He's from a primitive
but
planet.
still, okay. He's from.
They're called Kelpians because they eat kelp.
That's all they do is eat kelp. They grow kelp. They grow kelp. They fish it
kelp.
out the lake.
So maybe if Saru was from Earth, it would be problematic because like 22nd century, you'd think we'd have that down by then.
Well,
but he's from Kelpia or whatever.
It gave us.
Where's he from?
Kaminar,
not Kelpie.
No, but it was originally. I think in the before they actually said it on screen. I think it was often people thought it was going to be Kelpia, or I think even some of the early Discovery novels they say it's Kelpia, but then somebody was like, you know what, that's silly. That's a really silly name. But I didn't want to forget that they had that great line that Saru had. Saru mentioned that Vulcan proverb: "To rush a sailot is to risk a goring."
To rush a sailot is to risk a goring.
Yeah, I thought that was a fantastic line.
That's a wonderful addition to Star Trek lore.
Yeah.
I also am curious to see whether this is the conclusion of this little storyline bit, or if we will hear more, if this is setting up more about Vulcan purists and etc.
The Salots were like the pet, like a child.
Yeah, Ichaya was a Salot, and he got lost in the Langhorn foothills.
So Saru severed. Saru
sold seashells by the seashore.
Okay, we're doing that thing again where we're harping on just mispronounced a word. It's this is very
sorry,
very sophisticated humor here.
Lampu. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm looking through some old sound effects.
Okay.
I was trying to find
Saru never experienced conflict with anyone he's loved in this way. That was what he said with Trina.
Yeah.
And then Trina goes, conflict is a natural part of any relationship. Given that transitive property, we can then assume that he's never loved anyone in this way. Because if he's never
that's probably true.
Because if he's never had conflict with anyone he's loved in this way, and if Trina says conflict is a natural part of any relationship, that means he's never loved anyone in this way. And that could even mean he doesn't love his parents, because he's never had conflict with them.
Okay.
But maybe in love in this way, he meant like people he has sex with. So that could
I'm pretty sure.
So we can leave his parents out, but I think we can safely say he's never had a relationship like this.
Yeah.
Or it could be that every previous relationship he had did not end due to conflict, but ended due to the death of his partner.
That's really dark.
Possibly by his own hand.
That's dark.
Right. Or he's got those things that shoot out.
Do you think in the last season of Discovery...
He didn't when he lived on Kelpia.
Yeah. Do you think in the last season of Discovery they'll reveal that that Saru used to be a horrific serial murderer? Probably not. I'm guessing probably not. Okay. All right. Okay.
Tilly was saying, like, when she was all talking about, like,
A very big planet.
which was Trill.
A very big planet.
Yeah. She said it was 500 million kilometers of surface area.
500 million kilometers of surface area.
Yeah, exactly. Which means
a very big planet
is what it is.
Yeah.
I looked it up, and Earth has 510 million kilometers of surface area.
Oh,
so Trill is actually smaller than Earth by a little bit. So, but she says it's
a very big planet.
So is that, by that, are we supposed to think that she thinks Earth is also
a very big planet?
I don't know.
Because
Earth, what do you think,
Earth is, according to Tilly, according to her information, 500 million kilometers for Trill, and Earth is 510 million kilometers.
And Tilly's from Earth, right?
So Earth must be a very big planet to her too. Or they got their facts wrong.
Somebody wrote it wrong.
Dan, I think you've provided evidence to make your argument essentially unassailable. You have an unassailable argument.
Right us in.
Good for you. That's pretty much going to do it for us. I'm sure we have a couple of bits and bobs. I did, of course, want to mention Sluggo Cola. Tilly's drinking a Sluggo Cola, which we first saw in Deep Space Nine. Yeah, that's what Raynor says looks radioactive.
Oh, when he's all saying that thing.
That looks radioactive.
Yeah. Sluggo Cola. So that's
not even that dude drinks that shit.
DS9 callback.
I want to mention that, like, the whole scene where Book was trying to talk to the Itronach.
Yeah.
And like he couldn't do it at first because they were blocking him.
Yeah.
And then because Burnham like made her phaser go away and she walked up with her arms out, that meant suddenly they listened to him and he was able to talk to him. I thought that was a pretty big risk.
It's like when the Itronach walked into the bar.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that would work?
I get what Jesse was doing. Did you see what he was doing there?
I saw.
But you just went right past it.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, like that. Like, I don't think most animals would see that as, like, if the animal wasn't letting you talk to it before, I don't think that what they did would be enough to convince them to talk to you now. But I could be wrong. What do I know about Itronachs?
You know what, Dan? I will say, could be wrong. It's possible.
I could be wrong.
There's a chance.
I mean, I'm not complaining about it. I just thought, like, wow, that's a lot of faith they put in that maneuver there. You know? But it worked.
I liked when Dr. Pollard was talking about like the gross binar brain disease. It was like really horrifying.
And Raynor's like, she's looked into the face of
like,
the abyss and like,
like, I'm not gonna fuck with that lady. I love Dr. Pollard. She's great.
We haven't seen Owosakun. At least barely.
I was actually very confused because
she even Tilly even said was like Tilly was like, oh, they made a point of saying Owosakun's up next,
and we didn't see Detmer.
Yeah, we didn't see, and it's like weird that they brought her up and then just like,
were they not in Toronto that day?
I don't.
Maybe it might be as simple as that.
Yeah, maybe
just shooting schedules.
Just not in Toronto.
Tilly was risky rude to Raynor. Like she was talking,
risky rude.
Yeah, she was talking to him like all sternly and like you're not supposed to talk to your superior officer.
Well, and I think she gets the advantage of both
sass.
both she's sassy, awesome Tilly, but also that's not her main assignment, right? Is discovery. She gets to be that kind of voice of even though we to us she's Tilly and we've grown with her and watched her advance in her career. This is a temporary assignment. She's gonna fuck. She's gonna go right back to Starfleet Academy as soon as she's
Starfleet Academy.
Gray says there's so many different kinds of relationships when they're talking about how to manage
swinging. He was talking about swinging.
Yeah, because I was saying there's really only
open relationships.
There's only two types of relationships: open and closed. There's no spectrum between open and closed relationships. What other kinds of relationships? Are there?
There's probably a spectrum because
there's a spectrum and it's like, well, there's a kissing or no kissing.
No, Dan.
Dan, let me tell you how it is, Dan. Let me break it down for you. What you need to understand, Dan, is you got to get your head out of your ass first.
I'm firing Marshall Bell. Let me tell you something. It's
what year is it?
There's different structures and rules that people, even in an open relationship, there's a spectrum of
like
openness.
Like kissing or no kissing. Like, yeah.
Like kissing or no kissing? Yes. Okay.
Kiss.
All right.
You know what I meant. You just.
I'm
you
not
just,
100% sure.
No, I said kissing or no kissing, and you said kissing to try to make me look foolish.
No, I thought you were trying to emphasize something by saying kissing.
Okay, well, my bad.
I wasn't trying to call out a stutter.
I didn't mean to be defensive.
Okay, no, it's all good. We are at the end of the podcast. So, any other bits and bobs otherwise?
Music. We should play the end music.
I think Rainer should have been played. Whoa.
It's time to end the show.
What year is it?
We hope you all had a good time.
I was gonna say
it's an evergreen.
I was gonna say that Rainer could have been played by Billy Bob Thornton, and that would have been funny.
Yeah.
Okay, that would have been funny, Dan. Good job.
He would have had a cool accent.
We hope everyone has had a very good time listening to tonight's episode of the It's Got Star Trek podcast. We will be back again.
And if not, well, that's
this time next week.
What?
To discuss the next episode.
Huh?
What year is it?
We know the episode title, but I forget it right now. I don't have it in front of me.
What?
But you'll know it.
What year is it?
And in the meantime, if you would like to send us in an email, you can get it to us at feedback@itsgotstartrek.com.
Feedback.
Or you can send us a voicemail also to feedback@itsgotstartrek.com or www.itsgotstartrek.com/record.
3, 2, 1. Have you lost your mind?
What year is it?
We're going to have a lot of fun next week,
What?
even more fun than we had this week. If
What
you'd
year
like
is
to chat
it?
with us online, social media, you can find us at
Are you sure?
It's Got Star Trek.
What?
Jesse's dying over here. He might not even be with us next week.
Are you
At It's
thinking
Got
what
Star
I'm
Trek,
thinking?
Facebook, YouTube.
What was that?
You can find us fucking everywhere.
Everywhere.
Don't have to fucking worry about it. You got it.
Long day already?
Yeah, this has been a very long
You
day.
ask a lot of questions. What year is
I
it?
got up at 7, dude.
All right, we're going to let Dan sort of tire himself out.
What?
But
What?
from me and Jesse and
Have you lost your
Dan,
mind?
we wish you all the best. Hope you have a good one. Talk to you again
Good evening.
next week. Bye-bye.
Shantara has ended.
Saurians reproduce asexually, but we do not meet our progeny. They're instead raised by the community. I've laid 3 clutches.
Okay.